Hello guys, Patriot BBQ here, coming with another barbecue video. It's Sunday, and we're going to be smoking a rack of beef ribs. I haven't done beef ribs in a while. My wife found a good deal on them, and so I'm really excited about these beef ribs because they are delicious. As always, we are smoking on the Oklahoma Joe's, the Highland. I'm going to be smoking these. My target temperature is right at about 250. It's kind of difficult for me to keep it below 250 on that smoker. I just have a hard time keeping it low. So 250 is about where I really want it. I am going to be using White Lightning with double garlic butter. Boar's Night Out. This stuff, if you haven't tried it, do yourself a favor and find it. It is so good. I can eat this stuff on a rubber tire. I mean, it's that good, I'm telling you. This one I haven't tried yet. This came from a recommendation of a friend of mine. This is Suckle Buster's Best in Texas 1836 beef rub. I'm going to be using my mustard as a binder, so we'll go ahead and get into it. This, you can also substitute mustard with that little dry piece off there. You can also use olive oil, vegetable oil. All this is a binder. This is going to help the dry rubs stick to the meat. I talk about that almost every video that I do with you guys. Also, there is a membrane. So if you're familiar with barbecuing ribs, smoking ribs, pork ribs, typically, now I've done videos experimenting both ways with the membrane removed and the membrane on. With the beef ribs, I'm going to leave the membrane on, and we're doing that intentionally because we're gonna cook these things down to where they're just fall apart tender, and that membrane is gonna help them stay together. So once I have my mustard evenly smoothed out all over the place, I'll go ahead and start seasoning. I'm really looking forward to these. I haven't had these in a while. They're so good, man. They're just gonna blow you away if you try this out. All right, so what I'll do is I'm gonna start with this one. Okay, and we're just going to put down a base coat. I'm telling you, this stuff is so good. Man, this is good. All right, so we've got a little base coat. All right, let me be transparent with you guys. One of the problems that I have had in the past with beef ribs is that I have over seasoned them, and so when I cook them, they're too salty. And that has to do with when I cook brisket, you heavily season a brisket, heavily. So with that frame of mind, when I go into my beef ribs, I heavily season, and so I'm gonna really work hard at not over seasoning these, and because I really want a good tasty product. And it's very easy because the general rule of thumb with beef is that you want to season it heavily. So I'm just going to take it a little bit easy. Don't get me wrong, you do want to season it, but just be careful that you don't over season it. Okay, and then this stuff, I know I just got done saying I don't want to over season this one. I don't think it's possible with this stuff. It's just so dang good. So I'm just going to put a little tiny bit more of this down. All right, that's it. All right, guys, the smoker's been stabilized. The meat's been sitting for about 30 to 40 minutes now. It's kind of warmed up a little bit from refrigerator temp. So we're gonna go ahead and put it on the smoker. I do have my water bowl in here, and we're smoking with hickory today. Hickory wood chunks that I did soak in water for a little bit. And we're gonna go ahead and just set that puppy on there. Let's see, right now it is 12:15. I'm expecting this smoke to go for between 5 and 6 hours. I'm gonna let it be for probably 2 hours ish until I see the right color that I want, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap it. I'm also gonna be melting down about a half stick of butter and some beef bouillon cubes and maybe a little bit of seasoning, and we're gonna go ahead and put that into the tin foil. I don't want sweet. I'm not gonna put butter and honey and all the sweet stuff on my beef. I don't want my beef to be sweet. So we're gonna do probably just butter and beef bouillon. So we'll get to that point in a little bit, and we're gonna watch some football. Church is over. We're just gonna relax and enjoy the rest of our day. I hope you guys are enjoying it too from Patriot BBQ. Have a great Sunday, and we'll see you soon. Okay, so the ribs have been going now for about 2 hours. I'm getting to the point where I'm gonna be pulling them off here shortly and wrapping them. So what I'm doing here is I am melting a half a stick of butter, 3 beef bouillon cubes. I put in about 2 tablespoons of A1 steak sauce, and that should be good. A little bit of this seasoning that's got some garlic, some butter, some pepper. And I'm just gonna go ahead and melt this down, mix it up. That way when I bring in the ribs to wrap them, I'm gonna be pouring this into the tin foil with those ribs. So we'll check back with you guys in a bit. All right, so the ribs have been going for about 2 hours now. We've got some nice color. Looking good, smelling good. That's a nice, take a look at the color on that. Looking real nice. Beautiful beef ribs. So now, go ahead and head on inside. All right, so when I brought it in, I realized that the ribs were a little bit too wide for one sheet of tin foil, so I went ahead and added a second sheet. And here's the butter and A1 steak sauce, some beef bouillon cubes, and a little bit of the White Lightning seasoning. And what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna go ahead and pour this down. A little bit on the meat there. And what this is gonna do is just have a little bit, it's gonna give it a little bit of liquid to kind of braise in. It's gonna help soften it up. It's gonna help with the beef flavor as well. And then we'll go ahead and wrap it. Nice and tight. Meat side is down, because when the juices start to render out of the meat and the fat starts to render down, as well as the liquid that we just poured in, we want the meat side to be sitting in that liquid to help braise it and soften it. So that's it. We're gonna go ahead and add it back to put it back on the smoker, and probably go for another 2 to 3 hours. Okay, so wanted to point one thing out to you. I want you to look at the color of the smoke. I don't know if you can you see it? See the color of the smoke? That's exactly the point. This is the kind of smoke that you want on your smoker. You want it to have a light blue tinge to it. You don't want like this white smoke. We call that dirty smoke. So I wanted to point that out. This is the color smoke that you want. Okay, that's clean smoke. That's the kind of smoke you want on your meat. Again, we're gonna go meat side down. Right back on the smoker. when I opened the lid, it was resting right at around 255 to 260. So we're right around the target area. I want to go ahead and check my firebox while I'm out here. It's looking a little bit low. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of charcoal. Okay, so this is a big bag of charcoal that I picked up recently. Rockwood lump charcoal. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and add it straight to the firebox. So you do want to be careful with how much you add, because you don't want to add too much and then have your temperature start to jump way high. That's kind of what I was mentioning earlier on in the video. And then here is the wood that I'm using today. This is the hickory chunks. And so I do have some water here. This is not, you don't have to do this. I'm just gonna soak a few wood chunks here, just so you guys can see. I'm gonna add a couple unsoaked, but I'm also gonna soak this one for a few minutes and then add that. So if you wanna come over here and take a look. So when you do this, when you add your wood, I mean your charcoal and some fresh wood, what you really want to do, especially when your fire is beginning to dwindle down a little bit, what you want to do is open your firebox up completely. You want as much oxygen as you can get on that fire. This will be a few minutes. Now this chamber is still closed, so the meat's still cooking. The temperature is sitting right at around 230, and it's only going to get hotter as this begins to come back to life. So I just wanted to kind of add a little bit of firebox maintenance to this video, because when you're cooking on an Oklahoma Joe's, the Highland smoker, or any kind of stick burner, which is what we would call this, or an offset smoker, one of the things that you have to remember is that you are going to have to maintain your firebox. It's not an electric smoker. I don't come out here and just press a button, set it to 265 and walk away. You have to constantly maintain your fire, make sure that your temperature is right. So as you can see, the fire is beginning to come alive. So I want that to start kicking up, and then once it gets to a point to where you kind of ballpark it. So there's that little piece of wood. I just put it in the water for a few minutes. I'll go ahead and add another chunk or two to this water. And this will probably, and is it really necessary to even put wood at this point? Probably not, because it's already wrapped in foil. So at this point, we're really looking for more heat than smoke. But there's really no right or wrong way to do this. As you go along, you'll start to learn more and more about what you like to do, and people do things different ways. I'm gonna add a little bit of wood and a little bit of charcoal to mine, and that's just how I like to do it. Some people will fight you tooth and nail, don't soak your wood. Some people will say, oh, you have to soak your wood. It is what it is, man. It's all good. So there we go. I'll call that done. That should be plenty. That should get us through the rest of the smoke. That, I'm gonna let that fire actually intensify a little bit more, and then I'll shut everything down and I'll start adjusting this door here to where I want it, but I'm not quite there yet. So for now, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little walkthrough on the firebox. So I'll let this kind of stabilize and get going. We'll shut it down and keep on rolling. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and check on these bad boys, see where we're at. Ooh. Come on over here and take a look. See what we got going on. Woo! So those are looking good. Looking real good.
Yeah.
Let's see here. These are done. So it's 5 o'clock. We started at, well, it's 10 to 5 and we started at 12:15. So just under 5 hours is all that took. And I mean, these are ready. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let them rest. So we're gonna let these rest for at least, I'm gonna say, because we're not ready to eat yet, I'm gonna let them rest for an hour. So all I'm gonna do is just wrap them back up. We're gonna take them inside, get them off the heat, and just let them rest. And we'll do a taste test here in a little bit. All right, guys. These ribs have been resting for about an hour, just shy of an hour, and they're done. The meat pulled back quite a bit on the front ends, so visually it's not exactly what I wanted, but they smell good. We're getting ready to do a little taste test here, so let's give this thing a shot. Alright, so there's your finished product there. These things are just juicy, juicy as can be. They're looking good. Let's cut another one here. Let's see here. So, I mean, the juice is just dripping off of these things. They look delicious. So, let's do a little taste test. Best beef ribs I've ever done, for sure.
Not too much season this time?
No. They're really good. Right in here, we got a nice little smoke ring. And some smoke ring there. A nice smoke ring. They're delicious. If you get a chance to do some smoked beef ribs, a rack of beef ribs, get in there. It's really good. 2 thumbs up. Sorry. Patriot BBQ, smoked beef ribs. Catch you next time. Enjoy.